Good evening. Good evening. What a big surprise. Mike Parisi is standing up talking over here. All right, good evening. Welcome. How great is this? We're all together in person. It's been 2 years we've been waiting for this. I'm not sure, Frank and Betsey, if this means you were the 2020, 2021, and the 2022 recipients, but we're certainly glad everybody's here. Welcome. My name is Tom Sutton, and I'm honored and humbled to serve as the Master of Ceremonies this evening on behalf of the Baio family. We're also here to recognize one of our nation's strongest youth programs, Boy Scouts of America. And as we get started, I would like to turn things over to my friend Liam Hogue and his friend Blake from Troop 61 in New Berlin. Liam.
Can everyone please stand for the pledge? Scout salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. 2.
Scout sign, Scout oath. A scout is trustworthy. On my honor, I do my best to do my honor to the country, to obey scout law, to help people at all times, to keep myself physically strong, mentally, and morally straight. 2.
Scout salute. Sign. Scout law. A scout is trustworthy, loyal, helpful, friendly, courteous, kind, obedient, cheerful, truthful, brave, clean, reverent. 2.
All right, thank you, Blake. Thank you, Liam. How about a round of applause for our scouts? All right, great job, guys. Okay. So for more than 112 years, scouting has helped shape the character of our nation's youth through some very simple concepts, such as doing one's best, helping others at all times. Over the years, the Scout Oath and Law have been recited by more than 100 million scouting alumni. Stop and think about that for a moment. 100 million young people learning some basic lessons in how to be a better person, trustworthy, loyal, helpful, friendly, and all the rest. For Scouts, however, these simple words form the foundation to how to live a better life, one that develops their character and helps them grow into community leaders that we can all be proud of. I would now like to introduce the Baden Powell Scout Executive, Mr. Matthew Bull, who would like to say a few words. Matthew.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that introduction. You can all be seated. Thank you very much. 112 years. Trustworthy, loyal. We all heard the Scout Oath and Law just a few minutes ago. Both Frank and Betsey exemplify these timeless values of American character, and on behalf of the board and the Scouts of the Baden-Powell Council, I would like to say thank you for the lasting impact you have made and will continue to make in our community. Thank you. I would also just like to say, I am just so impressed at the attendance that we have here today. It speaks volumes to the caliber of our honorees here tonight. And I'd also like to say It's a proud moment for me, for our team, especially Kelly Amlin is new to our team. She started about a year ago. She was very nervous about this event. And Kelly, I just have to say, I don't know where you are in the room, but thank you so much. There she is. Okay, and in the interest of time, I'd like to bring you back up. Thank you very much for being the MC tonight. It's a pleasure. Thank you.
Great. All right. Thank you, Matthew. Okay, at this time, I would like to ask any and all Eagle Scouts to please stand. Any Eagle Scouts in the room? Here we go. Please be recognized. All right, congratulations. Great to see many of you who have achieved the Scouts' highest honor. And speaking of Eagle Scout, it's my pleasure. Would like to welcome Major General Peter Lennon to the podium to talk about what Scouting has meant to him. Major General Peter Lennon is an Eagle Scout. He is a native and also a graduate of my alma mater, New Berlin Central School, the now defunct New Berlin Central School. His 40-year career in Army logistics included deployments in support of numerous combat and peacekeeping operations. He retired in 2017, returning home to New Berlin with his wife Elaine, and he's now serving as the village mayor. Peter.
Thank you, Tom. It's an honor to be here with so many dignitaries and many friends, friends of Elaine's and mine, and of course, friends and supporters of Betsey and Frank. What a great day to be from Chenango County, right? Yeah. And what a great evening to be a Boy Scout. You know, tonight I'd like to start my comments before I really get into my quick meat of the thing. I'd like to recognize my new friend, James Sanchez. James, if you'd stand up. I asked James to stand up because he has just recently earned the rank of Eagle Scout. Now, you notice that I said the term earned, because that's what he did. He earned it. He didn't get there by just hanging around, going through the motions. It took him years of listening, learning, planning, and hard work, and leadership to get there. It's something that he will remember and will be remembered about him for the rest of his life. As I used to tell my soldiers, self-esteem feels a whole lot better when you earn it. Thank you for earning the rank of Eagle Scout, James. Thank you. Now, a couple weeks ago, when Betsey called to ask if I would say a few words tonight, of course I said yes. Who can say no to that amazing woman? Then she asked me if I could wear my uniform. And thank God I was on the phone, because I quietly panicked. I thought she meant my Boy Scout uniform. And then, thanked James for wearing a Boy Scout uniform. But then I thought, oh my God, maybe she means my other uniform. The uniform from the pizzeria. But thankfully, she meant my Army uniform, and I'm very proud to wear that Army uniform. Now, anybody who has heard me speak knows that I'm likely to go on and on, talking about the virtues of scouting and what scouting has meant to me in my adult life. But tonight, I know that I'm one of the last things standing between you and the wit and wisdom of Frank Baio. so I'm going to keep it short. A couple minutes ago, you heard folks of all ages recite the Scout Oath and the Scout Law. It's amazing how those phrases and those principles stay with you through the years. In my case, it's been over 55 years since I joined Troop 61 in New Berlin. So tonight, I want to briefly discuss just one of those laws. It's one that you may not jump out at you right away, but I think it's important. I've learned to appreciate its relevance to leadership through the years. And that is, a scout is cheerful. Now, cheerful doesn't necessarily mean that you're a backslapper or the life of the party or a jokester or Mr. and Mrs. Sunshine all the time. No, it means you're optimistic. It means that you look for, and in some cases, allow yourself just to simply see the points of light when others see only darkness. Now, it's easy to be cheerful when everything's going great. But we all know things don't always go great. That's simply not real life. As the former heavyweight boxer and now philosopher Mike Tyson used to say, everybody's got a plan until they get hit in the mouth. And we all do. Now, there are always those who envision the worst case, who seek unnecessary drama, and simply are resistant to change. That's not what leadership is all about. It's not what the Boy Scouts is all about. They look for reasons to quit, to say no. Well, I look to another philosopher, and that's my old command sergeant major, who was the senior enlisted advisor to a commander in the military. And that was Command Sergeant Major Najee Lundy. A couple of you know him. And he is a dear friend who continually reminds me, even to this day, that NO really stands for new opportunity. But I think of another great philosopher, and that's my mother. And she always used to quote a line from Rudyard Kipling's If. And you may have heard that famous poem. It's an amazing poem. It's probably only a couple minutes long, but it really has some wonderful lines in it. One of the lines that sticks with me, and one that she used to quote all the time, is, if you can keep your head while all about you are losing theirs and blaming it on you, then you will be a man, my son. That's carried me through a lot. Now, as a cheerful leader, you find ways to get to yes. You gather your wits when you're punched down. You assess the challenge in front of you. You reassemble your team. And you proceed with confidence to your objective, trusting in God, in your team, and in yourself. Only this time, the path to your objective may be a little bit different. Now tonight, we honor a couple, and in my eyes, a power couple, who have faced the challenges. But they've embodied the Scout principle of cheerful. Through the years, they've not only made us smile when things were good, they've inspired us and shown us how to be cheerful and resilient when things got tough. They know how to get to yes when things are bleak. Frank and Betsey Baio are role models. They have raised an amazing family, and they have a legacy of giving and sharing and leading. Their restaurant has become a mecca, or as Frank would say, a legend. The place to meet, to have a great meal, and to cheerfully go forward. In doing so, They've made Chenango County a great place to call home. So tonight, I'm very proud and honored to be part of this celebration of both Scouting and Frank and Betsey Baio. Thank you so much.
Peter, thank you. Might be one of the first standing ovations before dinner I can remember. It's pretty good. All right, now it's my pleasure to welcome to the podium New York State Assemblyman Joe Angelino, who is also a past recipient of this award. And I believe Joe has a proclamation for Frank and Betsey. Joe, welcome.
Thank you very much, Tom. I notice there's a script that we're all following up here, and my portion says, Mr. Angelino, say nice things, present your certificate, sit down. So I don't know if we're under a time crunch or what, but this couple that we're honoring tonight, oh, there's a lot of people here. But this couple we're honoring tonight, this is truly, the sum is greater than the parts together, because the synergy that happened when you two met really took over the village of New Berlin. Right after the pizzeria showed up, so did the collegiate school for football players. Everything was happening in New Berlin, and a lot of that surrounded everything you did. And I know a lot of the good things that you both have done over there that are unsung and that you'd like to keep quiet. But a lot of people recognize everything you've done over there. So I noticed that there are a lot of people in this room have a vowel on the end of their name. And I haven't seen this many Italians eating together. Yeah. It's about time, because it was just me, Joe Beninati, and a Marabito on this list of recipients. But, well, no, I was going to say I haven't seen this many Italians eating together since, but let's not talk about that. Could I ask the Baios to please come up, please? So I come to you with gifts from Albany. There's a lot of words on this. There's a lot of whereases and wheretofores, but the most important one is resolve that this be delivered to Frank and Betsey by hand. And it's an honor to do this. Thank you so much. Congratulations.
All right, thank you, Joe. Now I'd like to welcome to the podium New York State Senator Peter Oberrocker. Peter.
All right. First rule of public speaking, make sure that your mic is properly located. So I'll just kind of scrunch down a little bit so everybody can hear me. Exactly, the setup, right? Thank you. Thank you. Well, wait a minute, that's the setting. It says Frank setting right there. I was just like, the Frank setting is up here, I can tell you that. So. Well, listen, anyway, thank you and greetings. I am Senator Peter Oberrocker representing the 51st Senate District, I say currently, so we'll know where we end up somewhere along the line. I got a call this morning from Frank, and it said urgent. Give him a call back. Any of you that know Frank, when it's urgent, you call back. I called Frank back and he's like, are you coming tonight? And I said, coming tonight to what? And we had a little discussion, and I said, well, let me check, and I'll get back. And you know what? I said, absolutely. I'll be here tonight. Don't worry about it. When Frank asks you to be there, you accommodate Frank. Not much unlike the first time we met. The first time we met, I was coming back from Sherburne. I wanted a quick, something to pick me up. We stop over. I've never been in the pizzeria. I have my staff member with me. We walk in, we grab a couple of slices. We're doing a little small talk and so on. Come to find out afterwards, I'd left my wallet in the car. So I said to my staff, I said, go out and grab my wallet. I said to Frank, I said, as a state senator, you have me as collateral. He looked at me and he says, have you got something a little more? That's when I knew I was in the presence of greatness. So I'm going to keep things short as well because I am probably the last thing between you and the rest of the dinner. We put together our proclamation. And again, as my cohort in crime and my friend Joe Angelino said, there are too many whereases to go over other than, and again, I will have Betsey and Frank, if you would please come on up to receive this from my hand. I would like to present them with a Senate proclamation given under my hand from the 51st Senate District. I don't think a more deserving and most certainly one of the, like you said, the power couple that I've heard so much about. As I started to read their accomplishments, I wasn't amazed. I was humbled. I was truly humbled by the work that you do. I just wish that I might be able to commandeer your restaurant as maybe one of my Senate office locations over here.
Don't forget your wallet.
Yeah. So I will give my Senate proclamation written under my hand for the Senate 51st District to both Frank and Betsey with my gratitude and support throughout. So thank you.
If there is another one, I'd like to stay here.
All right, thank you, Senator. Okay, one more thing before dinner, a very important thing. I would like to welcome to the podium Father Emmanuel Abbey to the podium. Father, to lead us in our invocation.
So just before the invocation, permit me to say a word. I have known Betsey for maybe 6 months, 7 months, and she comes as a very sweet person, together with the husband, and I'm grateful that I could attend this ceremony just before I depart for Ghana. I've been here for 6 years in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, studying for my PhD, which I got, and I have in my pocket. From Duquesne University in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And so I'm glad that I could attend this just a week before I leave for Ghana. And I'm happy that they have the support and the love and concern of all of you to come here, over 300 people, and that is very impressive. Being a Catholic priest, I know that one of the things that God gives to us is gift. And gift can be time, can be talent, can be treasure. And the greatest tragedy in life is not to be limited to just a gift, but in the failure to use that gift. And whether it is time or treasure or talent, or you have the three of them, you have to use them for the benefit of yourself and family and for the community in whose life you share. And so each of us has some gift, time, talent, and treasure. Let us use them as they have and we will develop ourselves, develop our community, and develop the people around us. Thank you very much. The MC was looking at me. I didn't want to make it a long homily. So let us pray the prayer of invocation as we prepare for dinner. Omnipotent and gracious Father, we thank you tonight for this beautiful assembly, for the opportunity to gather, to witness, and celebrate the contributions of Betsey and Frank to this community at Chenango and other places. Bless our evening, Lord. Bless Frank and Betsey and the family, and bless all of us gathered here. May the example of Betsey and Frank inspire all of us to use our gift to serve you, the Almighty One, to serve our communities, our counties, to serve our states and our countries. May this evening be a blessing, not only to us, but to all who work tirelessly to bring a positive change in the lives of people. Bless our food, bless our drink, bless our water, and may the satisfaction we get inspire us to work for you, for our country, and for those who are around us. We make all our prayer through Christ our Lord. Amen. In the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Thank you.
Thank you, Father. Okay, now it's time to enjoy dinner. So we will resume the program in about 30 minutes. I would encourage you, the Baio family's put together a very impressive slideshow with the help of Gary Root, so I hope you would enjoy that during the dinner, and we'll see you in about 30 minutes. Thank you. So now we're going to have some fun here. All right. So as we get restarted, continue to enjoy your dinner. We'll give it another minute here. All right. Okay. We're going to start off this evening here with recognizing the efforts over the last several months, actually over the last several years, that the award committee has put in to make this night happen, and it hasn't happened easy. It's been postponed twice, but again, here we are this evening. So I would like to recognize, and after I call your name, if you could please stand, and then we'll give you a round of applause at the end. But the co-chairs for the award committee are Neil Bartle and Mark Golden. Committee members, Joe Angelino, Jared Bartle, Lou Dick, Jim Dunn, Kurt Edwards, Dave Emerson, Marielle Emerson, Tom Emerson, Daryl Forsyth, Jim Hoy, Irid Ingraham, Janet Ingraham, Eric Larson, Fred Myers, Frank Morabito, Pete Smith, and Howie Sullivan. What a round of applause for all their work. So, on behalf of the efforts that they put forth to make this evening happen, plus everybody in this room and our sponsors that I'll be getting to in a minute, I'm happy to announce that we set a record tonight in terms of contributions to the Boy Scouts. Over $37,000 was raised tonight, and that is a record. So, thank you very much. Okay, and speaking of sponsors that help make all this happen, our table sponsors, I would like to recognize Blue Ox Corporation. We have Golden Artist Colors, NBT Bank, Norwich Wealth Management Group of Wells Fargo Advisors, New York Central Mutual Insurance Company, New York Pizzeria, Preferred Mutual, and Staff Works. All right, and our presenting sponsors, our star sponsors, Chenango Memorial Hospital. Our life sponsors, Again, Staff Works, New York Central Mutual, Golden Artist, New York Pizzeria. Thank you again. Did you send in 2 checks? And our Eagle sponsor this evening, Chobani. Thank you very much. Okay, so as most of you are probably familiar with, but let's meet the family here quickly. So it's my honor to introduce the head table, the family table here. So let's start off, if you can just give a little wave when I call your name. Let's start off with our award recipient, Betsey Baio. Her husband, Frank Baio. Frank and Betsey's son, Rosario. And his wife, Meredith, joining us from New Berlin. Continuing around the table, we have Frank and Betsey's daughter, Francesca. And her husband, Luke Helberg, from right here in Norwich. And last but not least, we have Frank and Betsey's daughter, Pietra. And her husband, Joey Yozo, from New Hartford. Okay, so this event has been going on for 35 years now. And so we're fortunate to have some of the previous recipients, still being with us, and not only with us, they're here tonight. So it's my pleasure, and I'm not sure, actually, some of them I haven't seen them. I'm not sure if Patsy Smith is with us this evening. If Patsy, if you're here, please give a wave. I don't see Patsy here. Jim Dunn, same with Jim. I think we had some last-minute scratches here. I did see Dave and Mary Al Emerson, so Dave and Mary Al, thank you again. I think Eric Larson was placed on the 5-day disabled list earlier today, so Eric's unable to be with us. We have Joe Angelino, who we recognized earlier. Joe, thank you again. I did see Neil Bartle, and I believe, Neil, you have a 1-year-old granddaughter birthday today, but you chose to come here instead. So we're glad you're joining us. And our most recent award recipient, 2019 winner, Mark Golden. Mark, thank you for being with us. Okay. So as you may be aware, the Distinguished Citizen Award is presented annually to individuals who have made a significant contribution to the life in our community through leadership in education, business, industry, social work, and youth development. Our recipients this evening certainly exemplify these characteristics. And I just want to take a minute. We have a lineup of presenters who will be joining us up front here in just a few minutes, but I just wanted to reflect a minute before I introduce Pietra to come up. I've had the pleasure of knowing Frank and Betsey for over 40 years. And I will tell you, this is a story out of a movie script. It really, really is. And many of you may know this, but just bear with me for a minute. Think about this, right? You have an 18-year-old that comes over from Sicily, lands in New Jersey with $50 in his pocket, does not know how to speak English. Gets 3 jobs. The reason he's here is to try to make money, send it back home to his family who's struggling. 3 jobs. One, right, as a cleaner in a hotel, one as in a bakery, and then this one, think about this one. He was a security guard at a construction site. I would have loved to. You must have been quite an intimidating force at that job. So he finds his way. So he works hard. Every time he gets $500, he sends it home to his family. Think about this. Finds his way to upstate New York, works at a few pizzerias, decides he's going to head back home to Italy. Takes a trip down Route 8, goes traveling through a village he knows no one in, maybe never even been through there, sees a for sale sign on a building, turns his car around, stops, inquires, buys the building, opens a pizzeria. We'll pause there for a minute. Let's shift gears. 11th grade, girl moves with her family to the small village of Berlin. Again, knows no one. Gets a job at the grocery store next door. Again, she's 18. Frank's a little older. This is where the movie gets a little edgy. Frank, yeah. I don't think that would fly a lot these days, but. She- Frank asked her out, they fall in love. So instead of going, again, this is out of the movie, instead of going to college like she had planned, instead, in August, after about an 8-month courtship, she decides to get married to Frank and then work at the pizzeria. And here we are, 40 years for the pizzeria, 39 years together after that moment. So to me, that's a movie script, but if you get to know them, it's much, much more than that. And what I was afforded as an individual growing up in the small village of New Berlin, I quickly learned from Frank and from Betsey a lot of valuable virtues in terms of things like hard work, making sacrifices, customer service, what that really looked like. I saw what loyalty looked like. Loyalty to each other, loyalty to their family, loyalty to their community. I learned what friendship was all about. And probably most dear to me is I learned what generosity was. And I was a beneficiary of a lot of generosity from Betsey and Frank growing up, along with a lot of other people in New Berlin. And that continues today. The number of people, and Father Abbey talked about the talents, the resources. Generosity comes in a lot of ways. They spend their time. They're selfless in their actions. And it's absolutely incredible what they've done to really continue that heartbeat in our community. And that's exactly what it is. They connect people. They connect businesses. They connect friends, classmates when they come back in. And they've probably touched so many people in so many ways that they have really no idea. So I want to say thank you. Again, I'm humbled to be asked. I don't know if I was your first one you asked, second or third, but I'm humbled. And I value our friendship for the last 40 years and hope it continues for a lot longer. So thank you. Okay, that being said, if I could ask Pietra to join me up here at the podium. As I mentioned, Pietra is Frank and Betsey's daughter. She's a graduate of Siena College in SUNY Albany. She works for NBT Bank as the marketing operations manager. She lives in New Hartford with her husband Joey and 3 children. And I was informed that Pietra means the stone or the rock, as she would like to say, as Frank says, the rock, and she was named after her grandmothers. Pietra, all you.
Thank you, Tom, and thank you everyone for being here to honor my parents. This award is about recognizing local community leaders for their outstanding contributions to the betterment of the community and service to their fellow citizens. I am honored to be here with you tonight to share why I believe that my parents are so very deserving of this award. I'm going to focus most of my examples tonight on events that I witnessed during my childhood, specifically on the youth development feature of this award. A big part of the American dream is that each generation will do better than the prior generation. But for me, I'm not sure that's going to come to fruition. You see, my parents have accomplished so much that it's going to be nearly impossible to do better. There are so many examples that you've heard from Tom and from others that you will hear about later in the program tonight, or that you may already know about my parents. There are too many to list. I'd like to focus on a few highlights of their service to community that I can recall as a kid. My mother started a youth breakfast club at the pizzeria when I was in high school. Every Tuesday morning before school started, she provided breakfast and religious education to 20 local kids. This youth group formed a bond that has lasted to this day, and in fact, my best friend is in this room today, Clara. My father, being an immigrant from Italy, is very passionate about soccer and sponsored several youth soccer camps and coached various teams. I was fortunate that he coached my middle school soccer team. And that was a riot, let me tell you, because my father thought it was completely fine to yell Italian swear words at the opposing team. I do recall that when the school gave him a paycheck, he was perplexed. I'm getting paid for this? I thought this was volunteer. The school insisted that my father keep his paycheck, so he decided to use the money to buy us matching soccer sweatshirts with our names embroidered on them. I think the sweatshirt bill ended up being more than his paycheck, but you get the point. It's just another example of his generosity and support for community. My parents have opened their home to so many, especially during the holidays. It may be because we didn't have immediate family near us, or the fact that my father loves being the center of attention. Whatever it is, our home is always open to guests, especially when they had nowhere else to go, because my parents believe that no one should spend a holiday alone. In fact, one Thanksgiving I can recall us having guests from Cuba, Latvia, Switzerland, Turkey, and Italy. My parents always believed the more the merrier. As their daughter, I can tell you that my parents were very strict with us, but not about the things you'd think. We were fortunate to grow up in New Berlin, where they were not as concerned about us playing at the local playground on our own, but they were very strict about manners and respect. They would ask, "Did you say good morning to your bus driver and thank you? Did you say good morning to your teacher and thank you?" My parents gave us a life they never had, but they always taught us that nothing is given and everything is earned through hard work. I can vividly remember being at the pizzeria, standing on a can of tomato paste so that I was tall enough to reach the counter to make pizza boxes. In fact, we all worked at the pizzeria as young kids through high school. And for those of you who have ever worked in a restaurant, you know it prepares you for any job. All their hard work afforded me the opportunity to attend college, and their example prepared me to study in school and to work hard every day, both in my home and in my profession. So I will wrap up my comments with this story. On a recent mother-daughter trip, my mother shared with me that one of her biggest regrets was that she did not go to college. When I returned from that trip, I asked my father the same question, and he expressed that one of his biggest regrets was that he did not learn to speak English as well as he would have liked. Well, I know I speak for all of the Baio children and this entire room when I say that you have accomplished more than so many without college degrees and without speaking perfect English. So you all should know that when Mom and Dad were thinking about who should speak tonight, my dad said, "Oh, Pietro, you're so boring. We want people to laugh." It's true. Well, Dad, I may be boring, but boy, am I proud. I am proud to be Francesco and Betsey Elizabeth's daughter. Thank you. And our three children, Joseph Francesco, Francesco John, and Rosa Elizabeth, are all equally as proud. You'll hear more from my brother later in the program, so let me say on behalf of the Baio children, the grandchildren, our spouses, families, congratulations, Mom and Dad, we love you.
Pietro, thank you very much. Okay, at this time I'd like to welcome Brian Burton up to the podium. So Brian, we kind of have a bank theme here, and I just want you to know I did not pick out the presenters, had nothing to do with it. But while we're speaking of the bank theme, I did leave off one very important distinguished award recipient, and that is the 2010 Daryl Forsyth. Daryl, I apologize for that. Thank you for being here. So Brian is a market manager for us here in Chenango County, lives in Norwich with his wife Keisha and 2 children, been with the bank for about 20 years, and for about 12 years of his career, he spent it in the New Berlin as our branch manager. And this is true, this is a true story. So he went there in 2005, and when Brian arrived in New Berlin, he weighed 142 pounds. When he left 12 years later in 2017, his fighting weight was 209 pounds. And that's a true story. You could never find Brian if you needed between 1:30 and 3 every afternoon because he was at the pizzeria Monday through Friday having lunch. True? All right. Oh yeah. Another true story. So about 2 weeks after Brian left DeBrill and came back to Norwich, I got a call from Frank. He says, "Hey Tom, I got to tell you." He goes, "Things are going great at the pizzeria." I said, "Well, good." He goes, "Seriously, revenue's up." Okay. He goes, "Betsey did the math on this." He goes, "That a guy ate at my restaurant? It was $28,116 of free lunches he got in those 12 years. He never paid for one lunch." He goes, "Thank God you got him out of here." Brian.
Yeah, boy, I'm glad I said yes to this. So I get to follow Pietra, who's a professional in marketing, so that's fair. I am honored beyond belief that I would even get asked to stand up here tonight and talk about two people who have been so influential in my life over the past 15 years. So it's an honor to be up here. It's a privilege. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. Although I will say the night they called, we were out. It was a Friday night. My phone rang, and I didn't really notice it. And then I just kind of caught it at the end. Then all of a sudden, my wife's phone rings, and I see her run out of the bar in a hurry. So I said, "Geez, I wonder if Frank locked himself out of his online banking again." It's really the only time he calls me anymore. But anyways, it's a privilege to be here, and just want to share a little bit about my story and how that 12 years panned out for me over in New Berlin. It's getting to know the Baio family. So I went to the pizzeria to introduce myself on my second day of work, and I figured I'd grab some lunch when I was there, and of course it was love at first bite. And, a few days later I stopped back, and Frank and Betsey were eating lunch, and they asked me to sit down with them. And from that point on, it was pretty much a daily occurrence for 12 years. We'd attempt to solve a lot of the world's problems between the three of us, well, mostly me and Betsey, Frank. It's got no real answers, honestly. Comes down to it. Pretty much just do what I said. But one problem came up that really struck me, and it kind of it got me involved in helping the New Berlin community right off the get-go and to help make a difference. And that was a group called the Helping Hands. Well, I had never heard of it. And Betsey said, "Well, we're putting together this group of Helping Hands, and there's this house down the street. It's dilapidated. We knew the woman that lived there, and she didn't have anybody." She said, we're going to paint this thing. We're going to scrape it. We're going to tear out all the bushes. We're going to make this house beautiful, and it's right on Main Street in New Berlin. So it was twofold. They're going to give somebody a beautiful home to live in, and they're going to increase the curb appeal of their community, right? And Betsey said, "You want to help?" I said, "Yes," because what else are you going to say to Betsey, right? Oh, and by the way, she is an owner in the restaurant that I eat at every day. So I said yes, and it turned out to be a wonderful community project. There was a slide earlier I saw of Betsey scraping paint, and that house turned out to be amazing. And that was just a community project that really showed me what they wanted, what they were all about. And of course, the pizzeria fed all the volunteers for about 2 weeks straight. Just beautiful endeavor, and thank you for bringing me on board for that project. There's a table right in the corner of the front of the restaurant, and that table became my home away from home for 5 days a week. About an hour a day, well, sometimes an hour and a half. Right? Shush! Fridays it might be 2 or 3 hours, but that was Fridays. I always tried to get up and leave. Luke, you get an hour for lunch. But I always tried to get up and leave, and how do you say no? You don't. you know. Over the years, Frank and Betsey shared their stories, you know, how they got together, what brought them to the community, about Frank's family back in Italy. You know, Betsey shared a lot of stories that I would love to tell all of them here. Frank's stories you can't really share. Almost none of them are appropriate. Actually, I'm probably a worse person for listening to them. But that table became very important over the years. And, you know, every couple weeks, somebody new would pop in, and I would show up for lunch at 1:30, because if I wasn't there, he would call and say, get over here. And I would show up at 1:30, and somebody new would be sitting at that table. And over the years, there was guys like Redbone, Ed Heddig, Uncle John, Bobby Cole, professional motocross riders, the entire Kwasnick family, and of course, Mr. Hamdi Ulukaya, that I got to know because of my connection to the Baio family. And that table, it just was a special place to me for 12 years. It felt like home, and I can't say much more about that. Frank and Betsey made me a better person. They lead by example when it comes to philanthropy.
Brian, my dad doesn't know what that means.
That means giving. Time, money, generosity. My wife threw that in the speech for me. Hard work, commitment to family, loyalty, customer service. I have to believe you're going to hear those words some more tonight because they're true. They also helped me become a little larger around over the years by feeding me things like lamb chops, rabbit, octopus, which is now one of my favorite things, shrimp the size of a cell phone. It's funny, Frank would always tell me how fat I was getting. 2 seconds later, he's yelling, "Manja, manja! Make a manja!" And I would say, "Frank, I am stuck. Manja."
Brian, they were all leftovers.
Or garbage.
Again, I'm real glad I chose to do this tonight. And I'm going to start this by saying that Frank and Betsey and I were friends for about 12 years. But I think really what he was just trying to do is make me fatter just so he could feel better about himself. So, because let's face it, I am taller, as are most 6-year-olds. I am better looking, and I definitely still have more hair.
I'd rather be bold and look like you.
Okay. You'll notice I haven't picked on Betsey much. Well, how do you pick on an angel? Over the years, I got to know Frank and Betsey's children pretty well. When Frank went on the road, those hour-and-a-half long lunches were spent with his son, Rosario. I watched the girls go through college, and then I watched them get jobs. And then I watched them start their families. I watched Ro move off to Virginia and come back to run the family business and get married to a wonderful woman. They also watched my family. They watched my kids grow up. They always asked how they were doing. They were always there if there was a broken bone with a candy bouquet. They were at the baptismals. They were part of the graduations. It felt like my family had become their family, and I had become a part of their family. I know I keep saying Frank and Betsey. There's a reason for that. Without Betsey, there is no Frank. But without Frank, there is no Betsey. And without the both of them, there is no New York Pizzeria, a business that turned 40 this year. And what I'm really trying to say is they figured it out right from the get-go. It takes them both to have what they have. It takes them both to create what they've created. That's the reason they're being honored tonight. I could spend hours talking about the things that Frank and Betsey are involved in or give to or volunteer for, but we'd be here all night, and I only have so much time up here, as my boss has already warned me. But he may not have a job tomorrow. He forgot somebody pretty important. I'm willing to take on that responsibility if anybody's got anything. Same. In closing, what I'd like to say is thank you, Frank and Betsey, for all you've done for me, my family, the New Berlin community, and the countless others whose lives you have touched in the most profound ways. To know Frank and Betsey is to be part of the family. Congratulations, and I cannot think of two more deserving people for this honor than the both of you. Congratulations.
All right. Thank you, Brian. Home away from home at a restaurant instead of at work. Interesting. And Daryl, just again, I wanted to make it special. I wanted to separate it and do it, give you your own recognition. Just for clarity there. Okay. Up next, a very special guest. We're done with the bank people, by the way, so it's good. That's a good thing. So up next, I'm going to ask Hamdi Ulukaya to join us at the podium. As most of you know, raised in Eastern Turkey, Hamdi Ulukaya founded Chobani in 2005 with a mission of making better food more accessible and providing good for all, while also improving local communities. Selling the first cup of yogurt in 2007, Chobani became the #1 selling Greek yogurt brand in the U.S. less than 5 years later. A devoted philanthropist, Ulukaya signed the Giving Pledge and founded the Tent Foundation in 2016 to help end global refugee crisis. Ulukaya serves on the board of Lucom Torrefaction LLC, Pathfinder Village, and the Tent Foundation. And it's my great honor to welcome Hamdi Ulukaya.
Thanks, Tom. Thank you so much. It's so good to see you. I don't know how we get older. You never change. It's just hard to believe. So I'll start with this. I'm in Poland, in this little town, in April, this past April. And we just got there, and I checked into a hotel. I'm in the room, but it's 7-8 hours time difference, so I can't sleep. So I'm just watching some Netflix and stuff like that. It's late there. It's like 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock. And I get a phone call, and I see Frank. Well, I say, hey, Frank. And then he speaks like as if I am in there. He says, what are you doing? I said, I'm in Poland. He says, what are you doing there? I said, I'm going to go to the Ukrainian border with the refugees. Oh, are they okay? You need anything? So I thought he would say, oh, I'm sorry, it must be very late, because he knows in Italy, when he calls from US, it's very late in there. He says, I'm sorry, I'll call you later on. He keeps going on. He says, how are they doing? Are they all right? You need anything? I need some sleep, I guess. He says, my friend, and I think I can hear Betsey's voice on the background. He says, we have this event going on, and I'd like to ask you to come in and join us. It would be really nice to see you. I said, yeah, okay. Which date? And I'm trying to look at it. because I know I have to be somewhere, which happens to be tomorrow, which I will go tomorrow to Boston. So I said, I'll definitely come back, but let me do this, refugee things, and I'll come back. I'll come back. And then when I came back, and we're trying to figure out, but we can't reach to him. He doesn't answer the text. And a week later, we already decided that, it would be an honor to come and join. He texts me, he says, I never heard from you. I said, Frank, I heard you're in Italy, you don't answer your calls. That's why. He says, you're coming. I said, of course I'm coming. I wouldn't miss it for anything. And I'm so honored and so happy to be here. Luis and I, we go to a lot of events, some for charities, some they honor us, some they speak. You should know, this room is very special. What you have here, what I always knew that they existed here, which I have always taught wherever I go, to friendship, family, warmth of people of these places that made us who we are, made us to accomplish what we have accomplished. So you should know this is very, very special. So thank you for having me here, Frank. It's very honored. Okay. I'm not going to be as funny as Brian, for sure. I had no idea, Brian, all those times. Where's Brian?
Right here.
Yeah. I had no idea because we were always there, right? I said, what kind of a bank is this? You remember? I was telling you. He's always here. And I'm a boss, so I come, but I can't wait any longer. I have to go back. He's there. He's there before I get there, and he's there before I left. Always loved the conversation, always loved to chat, but I had no idea you were husband of Keisha. I had no idea. And that is the most special thing you've ever done in your life. Nailed it. Nailed it. It's a winter time, January. I don't know which day of January. I decided to make a trip to come to South Edmiston to see the plant that I saw in the ad. It was an ad. I've said this story a million times. And it was literally, maybe I'll say it. It was literally a junk real estate letter or junk mail came from Utica. And I looked at it. It says, fully equipped yogurt plant for sale. And in my factory in tiny plants in Johnstown. And I read this. It's going to be a little bit more than 5 minutes. Bear with me, please, because it says 5 minutes. But I throw it to garbage, honest to God, because you get junk mails all the time, and you just go through them. And I do that once every 2 weeks, and my desk becomes very messy, still the same way. And I throw it. About 25 minutes later, I picked it back up. I was smoking very heavily at that time. So now it's this garbage is full of cigarette remainings and tea remainings and all that kind of stuff. So the paper is a little colorful this time. And I called the number. And the real estate agent in Utica, I think it was called Pyramid, real estate agent, answered the call. And the gentleman said, yeah, it's a yogurt plant in this place. Kraft owns it. And they sold the business, and this plant is for sale as is. So I said, how much is it? And I'm looking at this page. It has front the picture, it says 1920. It's still there. On the back, there's small pictures, some fillers and tanks and all that kind of stuff. So I said, how much is it? He says $700,000. And I thought, oh, that looks a little cheap. I mean, looking at all those tanks, must be a 1 0 missing. So I'm saying with Frank, I said, I'm not going to ask one more time so he doesn't think that I think that it's cheap. So I want to come and see it tomorrow. So I did. The next day, it took me 4 hours to come from Johnstown, New York, to South Edmiston, where the plant is. I came, and Rick, Maria, I said hi to Maria, and then Rick, my colleague here, said hi to me, and it took me to the plant, showed me the plant. I walked the plant, and then when we were done, I said, Rick, where can I have a bite to eat around here? And he said, there's New York Pizzeria down the street. If you make a left, you can't miss it, it's right there. So after the tour, I came to the restaurant. And when I arrived to the restaurant, all I wanted to do, have a slice of pizza and an iced tea and leave. They both were there. Frank was there and Betsey was there. And Frank came and talked to me maybe 5-10 minutes after. And Betsey, of course, investigator, came and asked many, many questions. We started from Turkey to Italy to, by the time we finished, it was maybe more than an hour I wasn't there. It was the first time I was in that plant and first time I was in a place of the community. They probably thought, and they said it in 60 minutes, that I was crazy, that I was going to lose everything I have. But they never said that to me, that I was crazy. And as everybody said, a sign of generosity from day one, they didn't even give me the bill. I will say from my personal experience, I've been around a lot. Frank and Betsey, and later on their children, has enormous effect on my decision to stay. This is not, I'm trying to. I'm not trying to be nice to them. I'm telling you the truth. And we had tough times. Anyone who starts any business knows the early days are extremely difficult. For 5, probably 6 years, I never left that place, not even one day. And I still say it. My breakfast was a bagel with cream cheese from Dunkin' Donuts and a cup of tea. And my lunch and dinner was at Frank's. Vast majority of 5 years. Now, I would personally drive to come to Frank's place because I need to get out of all the issues that I was going through. To take a trip to somewhere, a trip to sanity, trip to comfort, trip to a reminding of humanity, simplicity, some laugh, some comfort. We would never talk about our issues. We will talk about our villages, our towns. We will talk about where we come from. We will talk about some stupid traditions that we had. We will talk about food. We will make jokes about some others. And then I would go back to my work. He would go to his, of course. But every single day, day in and day out, and my wife Louise knows I'm a very, very sensitive person when it comes to people's attitude. And if I had seen one day that he was not the same guy, I would probably not go the next day. Can you be consistently generous, a friend, for 5 years? That's Frank. People said things about me, oh, I was the fastest growing yogurt, I became this, I became that. What we had, it was just the one first day. The guy couldn't afford the pizza in the mine. I could afford the pizza that day. But I was that poor, or later on. It didn't matter. Because we met on a humanity level. That's what real friendships are. I value him more than anything. Now, beyond that, I respect him. I think where we come from, the world that we come from, the word respect means something. I respect him. It is tough out there. We don't have most of any shortages. I've been on the border. There's a shortage of food, there's a shortage of medicine, there's a shortage of shelter, there's a shortage of a lot of things. But where we live, fortunately, there's not much of a shortage of things. But what we are short of is character. That's what we're short of. Why? That's why I say to the people in towns like ours and the children, and say, don't envy a lot to the out there. Value what you have, because those are human qualities. Consistently being generous, funny, friend, laughter, all that kind of stuff. But underneath, under layer, the fundamental concrete thing with Frank and Betsey and Baios is character. And that is one that was extremely familiar to me, because that's where we valued, where I grew up, as nomads in the eastern part of Turkey. Words mean something. Handshake meant something. Respect meant something. Generosity meant something. Humanity meant something. I love what Brian said. Frank is nothing without Betsey. Now, everything I say about Frank, it is the beings, it's the still beings, is Betsey. Allowed him to be who he is. And I loved it every minute. And she was my true sister I never had, my older sister. She would give me the warmest, most beautiful hug every time I walked in, and whisper something in my ear. Something that she wants me to remember. Don't have to say all those things. And they took me to one of their family members. And I told my wife, Louise, Pietra is a sister, is my niece, whatever that is. Every time I saw her, I felt like I was seeing my brother's daughter. Francesca was a little crazy. But I loved her for that too. And of course, Rosario, watching him to become the man he is. You know, in a man's life, in my life, one of the happiest moments is when you get to be married and start your family. And Luis and I, when we decided that we were going to get married, and I, of course, reached out to Frank and Betsey and says, if you would come to our wedding. And they said, where is it? I said, it's in Istanbul. He said, Mike, I thought he was going to be in New York City or somewhere around here.
I was worried about the money paid for the trip.
Yeah. And when they asked, who do you want at your wedding to speak in Istanbul? We had some fancy people there. I said, I want Frank to talk. Because he knows me the most. Because I spent more time with him than anyone else. And I was lucky Frank and Betsey wake up, stand up and say something. But he always said some funny things about me. And not as nice as what I say about him, he doesn't know. So Frank and Betsey, when I said to my wife Louise that we were going to come here, I want everyone to know if we have done anything good in this community, if we have participated in the community's, positive positive change or anything happened. I just want everyone to know the Baio family has played an enormous role in that one and in my life, to be able to do all those years what I have done. Now, Tom said that I'm in, philanthropy, all that kind of stuff. You look, everywhere you go, you look for a sign of life, sign of optimism, something that you can hold on to, something that you think that there is life in there. There's something that, it could be ruined, but there's hope. When I walked into New York pizzeria, the energy there every single day, how he was behind that counter, how they interacted with everybody, how they welcome everyone, how they say hi to everybody, all the words that everybody said. Beyond the physical thing, don't underestimate that places symbolic effect in life in this community. Every single person walked into that place, walked out, lifted, shifted. Every single time. You can watch it in everybody's face. Whatever they were facing, they walked in there, whatever the 5 minutes, 2 minutes, or an hour that they spent there and they left, they were immediately lifted. That is by far one of the biggest philanthropy, one of the biggest contribution you can make in somebody's life. And the last one that I will never forget, I told Luis, my wife, that I'm going to take my 4-year-old and I'm going to go home for 2 days, him and I, which was a big mistake. You don't go up with 4-year-old by yourself. And the last night, I called Frank, he didn't answer, he doesn't answer my calls all the time. And I went to pizzeria anyway with my son, and here they were. He was there, and Betsey was there, and Rosario was there. And seeing my son received by with Frank and Betsey, and taking him behind the counter, which I have seen all these years that he's done to so many children, and putting him in an apron, and taking him to make his own pizza. And I was taking pictures, and at the same time I was sending to Luis. It was one of the last best gifts he has ever given to me, anyone has given to me, that made me almost cry in that place. And I will cherish that moment forever. Before I leave, Rosario, Pietra, Francesca, Meredith, you guys are new, I don't know you guys. No, it was after my time. I wish the greatest gift that I would have, that my sons and now my daughter grows, that I can give them what your parents have given them. True life, true present, a true richness. So as I go away, I say, you're still the king of the town. I'm finished. And I think you are the richest person in the county at the same time. You. And I think I have one word. Thank you, my friend, for all those years. And I'm so looking forward to stay friend with you, be right next to you, and proud to call you as one of my best friends. Thank you.
Hamdi, thank you so much. Okay. Rosario, you ready to follow that one up? All right. Here we go, Rosario. You might as well stand up. I apologize for putting you behind him on that one. So last but not least is Rosario, Frank and Betsy's son. Rosario lives in New Berlin with his wife Meredith and their 2 children. And this was the weakest bio of any of the bios right here. That was kind of, I was like, really, this is it? This is what you got? But Rosario is now a co-owner with his father, Frank, of the New York Pizzeria. And if you've been in there recently, I think it will be, there's no question about what the future of New York Pizzeria is. Rosario sounds a lot like his dad, acts a lot like his dad, and I think is what Hamdi just described. He gives you that same feeling that both Betsey and Frank give you when you walk into that. So, Rosario, honored.
Thank you, Tom. Excuse me, hello. I gotta wipe some tears, jeez, my goodness. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for being here with us to celebrate my parents. I especially want to thank our MC, Tom, speakers, my sister, Brian, Hamdi. Brian had me laughing, and my sister and Petra had me crying. It's not usually a crier, but geez, all right, well, I'll try to read this as best I can. So, as many of you know, my father always believed he would return to live in Sicily to make a life there with my mother. She was willing to do this, so they bought a home in the country just outside the village in which my father was born, in San Giuseppe, in Sicily. And for a time then, they saw the life they lived here with the sacrifice of hard work and long hours as the way to accomplish what they wanted to live in Sicily. Gradually through the years, through the friendships that were made, the children that were born, the roots that were established, they came to understand that their life was meant to be lived here. It was no easy decision for my father, as any immigrant can attest to, but I know he came to love this place in ways I cannot articulate. And what a good life it has been. We're a witness to that here tonight. To see both of them here tonight, being recognized by the community that they decide to spend their lives with, is a moment our family would cherish. You've heard some great stories between Keitra, Brian, Hamdi. Like I said, tears and laughter here for me personally. But this particular story that I want to share is actually outside the community. It happened in the pizzeria, but not with actual community members. But it's just an example of my parents' generosity and just how they've lived their life day to day. And so anyway, this particular evening, it was a late Friday night. I was still in high school, working behind the counter as, family business. You're part of it. And this couple walked into the door, and I'm out of high school 20 years, so it must be 22 years ago, 21 years ago, and you could tell they were a little stressed, a little dismayed, and my parents, just the people that they are, they immediately strike up a conversation, make people feel welcomed, and quickly they realized that these people were from out of town, and they had a problem. Well, come to find out, they were dropping their daughter off at Hamilton College up in Clinton, and their car broke down in a Berlin. So, we're not a Utica, we're not a Syracuse, so there were no garage. This was a Friday night. There were no garages open, and they were kind of stranded. And my parents, just the people they are. I'm just a 17-year-old kid, but and almost in unison, they told these people, who they have never met, take our car. You need to get home. Good.
That was my car.
Yeah. But, these people are from Connecticut. They'd never met my parents, but they could see they were in trouble. And if there was anything I learned from that night, that generosity and those kinds of things, it's best when it's spontaneous, when it's not. This event is organized and we're recognizing my parents, but they did this completely out of the blue. Just, you guys are in trouble, you're in stress, take our car, go home. When your car's fixed, drive back to New Berlin, pick your car, and drop our car back off. So obviously they were very stunned, and they couldn't believe the offer that my parents were making. But it's just a small example of my parents' generosity. And
They did take the car.
what's that?
They did take the car.
They did, yes. They did accept. They did accept. So I've kind of gone off speech here, but anyway, my last paragraph here says that my parents have lived by the difficult and beautiful belief that we should give the shirts off our backs to our friends, our neighbors, to the strangers who arrive at our door. It is this life of giving of themselves to others in friendship, in community, in need, that has graced our lives and their lives. And I'm just so very honored to be their son. It's truly, I'm not a crier, and people have made me cry talking about my parents tonight. So thank you all of you.
Rosario, thank you. Great story. Okay. You guys might as well come on up, Frank and Betsey. On behalf of the Baden Powell Council Boy Scouts of America, please accept this award as recognition of your outstanding service to your community. It is my honor to recognize you as the 2022 Chenango County Distinguished Citizens. Congratulations.
Shut off your phones and shut up.
I was determined I was not following Frank because it would be like Rosario following Hamdi. Nobody wants to do that. Standing up here, I kind of feel like I'm at the Oscars. Not the slap. But back when that actress said, you like me, you like me, you like me, you really like me. As a people pleaser, you have no idea what it feels like to see this room. And you have no idea how hard it was to do the tables and do this. But thank you to all of you for being here. And thank you to each one of you, with a special thank you to our speakers and MC Tom. Tom, I'm glad you didn't tell a lot of stories that you could have told. To Peter, Hamdi, Brian, Pietra, Rosario, and Father Emmanuel, to all dignitaries here. And we just appreciate all of you giving up, like I said, your most special gift that we all have, which is our time. Also to the Boy Scouts, to James flying up from Florida as almost an Eagle Scout, and a special thanks to Marielle, Lou Dick, and Kelly, and a huge special thank you to Francesca for going above and behind, like Frank likes to say. Francesca used the pregnancy pass to get out of speaking, but she didn't realize that she was going to be doing the seating chart.
Don't be mad at me.
So she might have wished in the end she spoke. So, like I said, we talked about gifts, and Father Emmanuel talked about gifts. And so one of the gifts I've been given, I haven't been given a whole lot, but I have been given the gift to give. So I saw some of you get up, so if you guys need a refill or anything, go get a drink now, because I'm just getting ready to roll. But my truest gift, and who made me what I am, is I'm the greatest copycat that ever lived. I got married very young. I know I still look young, but I'm not anymore. I was very young. I was a very young, naive mom and a wife trying to help my husband run a business. I was in way over my head. But I knew some things I wanted in life. I wanted a better life than I had, and I wanted something special for my family. So I didn't have any other skills, so I just started watching and imitating and copying people. The first group I copied was from the Sicilian family that I married into. I copied and learned how to manage cooking. This is a true story. When I got married, I didn't know what the word pasta was. I didn't know what a fresh herb was. I didn't know the garlic. Well, I did not know anything about cooking. Or I learned a new level of cleaning. And most important, I learned what a ferocious love of family is. I learned all this from an amazing group of women that I studied and copied. It began with my mother-in-law. I went to Rosa and Josephine Familia, who took me under their wings. Ann Labaro, Mimi Nicastri, and my very special Zia Rosa that we lost this year. I never achieved any of their levels, but we have not starved to death, and we don't have roaches, so. Our business mostly employs young people, and many of you here we've become friends with, and your children have worked for us. And some young people in particular really were just amazing to me. And our children were young, and I copied, questioned, I wondered how they have these work ethics, what made them this way, how could I make my children be this way? And one of the things that still stuck out in my mind, I learned walking years ago with Ronnie and some other ladies, was if you can't get them to eat their veggies and take naps when they're 2 or 3, you'll have no hope when they're 12 or 13. True words. The years rolled on, the business and family grew, and I began to look outside a little more. I wanted a little bit more in my life, and I wanted to give back a little bit more. I found a whole new group that I admired and wanted to copy. Women like Ronnie Wadsworth. She didn't lose herself in her husband's shadow. I learned you can keep your identity and make your own shadow. Even though Frank's short, we all know he makes quite a big shadow. Thank you, Ronnie, for that lesson. Women like Peggy LaPresti and Nancy Marabito. They inspired me, guided me, met with me, taught me, got me to join Leadership Chenango, join community boards. Because of their influence and others in this room, I was able to work with other people here, like Patty Strag, and start Clean the Highway. Marielle and Tony and other people to help start the Helping Hands, which Brian spoke of. Made a huge difference in who I am. Women like Linda Bartle and Kathy Brillinger, who taught me to endure, survive, and keep going with courage when life is not fair. Women like Joanne and Noreen Bonzwell, who taught me to play hard and pray hard, in the best of times and the worst of times. I don't want to say that no men have influenced me, because they have. But as you look at that list, I'm only the 5th woman who's recognized in the past 35 years, and only 2 women have been recognized on their own. I wish, could you please tell Alex Erath that I noted this? I wanted to say the reason why I'm focusing on women is because I wanted to say what a power effect these women that I mentioned and others, many of you in this room that I didn't mention, have had in molding, inspiring me to become a better version of myself as a woman, a mother, a wife, and a community person. If I ever inspire someone else, wow, that would be exciting. But I hate to admit it, but the person I have learned the most from in my entire life is not a woman, but it's this man, Frank. He has given me this unbelievable life. I've had the privilege to go places I've never dreamed of. I grew up in Hubbardsville, New York. I think there's like 96 people that live there. So the privilege of going some of the places I never dreamed is thanks to Hamdi and Louise. I got to eat foods I never heard of in my entire life, like hot tapusa. But that's a story that some of you might already know for another night. I get to be a mom and a grandmother to the most amazing children and grandchildren who I love more than my life. This year we're expecting our 8th grandchild. Who could ever ask for more? My children have learned to copy and have followed my example and have married incredible families. We get to have the joy of being grandparents together with. David and Diana Birdsell, who are on that 5-day quarantine, so can't be with us. David and Connie Hellberg, and Joe and Rosa Yozo. We love each of you and are so glad for the children you raised and that we're all family together. If anyone follows me on Facebook, they know that my mantra is my cup overflows, and I do thank God every single day. I would like to close with this quote from John Wesley. This is the end, because like everyone's referred to, we're gonna be hearing from the King of New Orleans soon. But, and as my line has been stolen twice, without Betsey, there is no Frank, and I was not adding without Frank, there is no Betsey, so we get that straight.
Should have stopped at the first one.
And this is the quote I want to close with, because this is really it sums up how I try to live my life. Do all the good you can, by all the means you can, in all the ways you can, in all the places you can, at all the times you can, to all the people you can, as long as you can. That is greatness. Thank you, everyone.
I can't make you and type is so big for me. You might want to take it out. Betsy, I'm gonna ask you a question. Did you buy any, did you purchase the tickets for this crowd to be in here? That's impressive. Okay.
Well, I think you were locked out of the online banker, but
I can you not be emotional after you hear such a great words from family and friends. Before I started thanking anyone, I just want to tell you something. It's been a hell in my house since I decided to accept this award. I got my wife tell me, Frank, this is not the same speech that you're going to have from before. This is all people, this is a really special word, not dirty jokes, don't be nasty about it. I got my daughter Petra telling me, Daddy, you're gonna keep this a PG-13. I'm not used to that. I'm a rated R kind of guy. But anyway, also they told me, Frank, but have you, all the people that they're all respectable people. I said, yeah, what the Marty Dietrich and David Burrell do here? Marty, I got the okay from your wife. I asked her permission. First of all, I would like to thank the Boy Scout Association for choosing me, along with my wife, as a Boy Scout Citizen of the Year. And because I just heard that we hit the record, don't ask me for donation for the next 37 years. Tom, thank you for the wonderful introduction. And thank God that you didn't tell them everything. I won't be here again this award. Peter, thank you for your kind words. Thank you for your 40 years service our country, our community, and thank you for our freedom. Brian, where are you? You got so skinny that I couldn't even see you. It seems like you are paying for your lunch these days. Andy, my dear friend, thank you so much for coming. I know that you're a very, very busy man, and congratulations on your latest award. You're a man, you should be, I don't know, you're a saint. I don't know, do they have a Saint Andy? I don't know.
That's good.
But the truth is, I told my wife, do not invite him. He's gonna steal my show. Let's face it, I was the king of the town until you show up. My pizza ran my village, drove my village until you yogurt came along. But sincerely, I do appreciate your friendship and thank you for the kind words you said about me. And by the way, thanks to you, my wife refuses to fly economy anymore. Where's the senator? Where's the senator? He
I think
left?
he went home.
Oh, I was gonna say, and only one thing across my mind when I see the guy. I don't know who's the normal man, me being short or him being tall. So, I don't want to talk about a lot about my kids. Okay, I don't want to get too emotional. They already am. But I just want to say that I'm very, very proud to be their dad. And you each one brought so much joy to our lives. Among you were beautiful grandchildren. Goddamn microphone.
The priest is here.
My son-in-laws, Joey and Luke, what can I say for them? The only thing I could say is that they be so attentive to my daughters. Yes, so attentive that I get a grandchild every year and they get 2 weeks off. We're back. And God bless my daughter-in-law. Beautiful woman, beautiful mother, great mother. She very smart. She understands that my son cannot take all that time off from work. So she cut him off. Okay.
Sorry, Mayor.
I'm surprised you didn't leave. I'm incredibly blessed and proud to be Betsey's husband and to share this humble honor with her. Probably that's the reason why I'm here. Who said that? I'd like to thank Tim Carson and their staff for great meal and great hospitality. I'd like to thank my employees. Without them, we could not do it. I'd like to thank the Honorable Assemblyman Joseph Angelino to be here. I'd like to thank Honorable Joe McBride, our Supreme Court Judge, and Honorable Frank Reward, our family judge. Thank you for coming. If I keep on going to thank everybody, we'll be all month. So I want to thank everyone who came here tonight, especially those ones that came from far away. I did like to tell you a little story how this began. About 2.5 years ago, my wife received a phone call from Neil Bottle and Tom Emerson saying that they want to talk to us. I told my wife, I said, honey, I think they're looking for donations. I says, listen, I don't want to end the bullshit. Just like that. And definitely, if Neil brings Linda, I don't want to see her chug 4 bottles of my wine and then sleep on the table. Tell them I moved back to Italy. Due to the pandemic, we received the phone call. Neil talked to my wife, and my wife tells me, says, Frank, you know what was the reason Neil called us? I said, Tom? I said, no, what was it? I said, we got chosen by the Boy Scout Citizen of the Year. I said, I never was a Boy Scout. I said, never spend that night in the woods. I don't even know how to set a fire. What does it got to do with me? Of course, she said, you dumbass. This has nothing to do with you, Boy Scout. This is who we are, what we do for the community and for others. My friends, we never in a million years expected this award. Give it back for the Baio family. It comes naturally. Except for my daughter Francesca. She will spend all money on herself. David, we still got time, right? But really, no word needed. But we accept it with gratitude that we want to thank you from the bottom of our hearts. You have an idea what it means to receive an award as an immigrant. Now, during the pandemic, I dressed as Donald Trump, Superman, Tom Cruise, and the Sailor. By the way, I had a lot of compliments up on my legs. But let me tell you who the true Frank Baio is. In Italy, my name is Francesco Baio. I was born and raised in Sicily. After 15 years old, my family moved from Sicily to Rome. That was at the best time of my life. In Sicily was kind of danger to talk to a girl on the street. In Rome, everything goes. I was not worried about getting shot or if some private parts are cut off. My mom spoiled me with her love, but I was young, and I became very selfish and very lazy as a result. I would seldom go to school, and several occasions on my parents I got called because of that. I drove a car without a license. I never gone to school, seldom, and I ran away from the police a couple of times. Sometimes I still do it. Several times. This goddamn phone,
You want a stool?
Several times, my dad reminded me that I was kind of worthless, but he was right. But I care. I was having all kinds of fun, and I want to live a life. So my dad at that point, they gave me two choices, either school or work. So I told my dad, they gave me a couple of weeks. I figured I'll leave a couple more weeks more. So I chose to go to work for him, even though it was the wrong decision. I should have stuck with school. And I went to work for him at the butcher shop. Well, the pay was little, and the bad habits started to grow. So I started stealing money from the cash register. Until one day, I overheard a conversation. We had a financial problem, and probably I was the cause. So I contacted my Uncle Joe, who lived in New Jersey, and we kind of back and forth wrote some letters. And I received 3 letters from him. Each letter contained a $50 bill. So I had $150 when I came. So I remember that day. It was the 19th of December, 1972. Boy, I had a 3-piece corduroy suit. Olive green was the color. I want to make an impression. I had a Ray-Ban glasses, green, the original ones. And by the way, I was about 10 inches taller. This is true. I had a full-size hair, and I had 6 inches heel. That was in style those days. Right? Yes, I did make an impression very good. I got stopped by customs on the way out. Yeah, they thought was the hitman come from Sicily to take care of some family problems. So, yeah. So questions I couldn't answer. So finally they got another policeman that he knew a little bit Italian, and I told him, I said, listen, they tell these guys I'm here to spend the holidays with my uncle and some family. Tell them to let me go. I ain't gonna do nothing illegal, so they'll let me go. So after a couple of weeks, I received my first letter from my mom. I cried. I cried for a long time. And I want to go back to Italy so bad, because you have no idea what it means, what it feels to live with everyone behind that you know you love. The only thing that kept me here was my pride. We borrowed the money for my plane ticket, and I haven't made enough yet to pay back. And I don't want my dad to think any less. Every penny that I made for several years, all kinds of jobs, all kinds of work I could get, every penny was going to Italy. The only thing I had in mind was that I was changing the financial situation for my family. And that kept on going. I lived in New Jersey for 6 years. Even though I had a good paid jobs, but now I know I wasn't not spending all my life working for someone else. So I called my Uncle John. He was the one that pushed me to come to New York State. And that was September 1978. He introduced me to the village of West Winfield. And with the help of my cousins from Casa Imports, they lent me the money, no interest. I don't even know if I paid them back.
John Vito, did he pay you guys back?
So I opened my first pizzeria in the beginning of January 1979. Lots of things and adventure happened after that. Until one day, returning from visiting New Jersey, I drove through the village of Roland, and I noticed there was no pizzeria. So I stopped the car, walked around, and I saw a house that had a for sale sign. I called the number, and I bought the house right then. The house became the New York pizzeria we all know and we all love. I started remodeling. And then when I was taking a break, I would go to next door to the grocery store. The cashier was the most beautiful girl I ever seen. Blue eyes, big breast. Supposed to have a big smile, I'm sorry. And I say I want to marry this girl. Our first day was on her birthday, December 13th, 1981. And we got married 8 months later, on August 23rd and 82. We've been married 40 years. The first 3 years it was wonderful. Then I stopped taking pills. So we got married, but the intentions were still to go back to Italy. But once we started having children, I realized that there is no better place than this. And raising my kids in abroad was the right thing to do. Finally, if I learned anything from my wife is this: the more you give, the more you receive. Thank you, Betsey, for being such a beautiful sample of that truth every single day. Thank you. I have another important announcement to make. I got a phone call from my buddy Andy today. No, was it today or yesterday? Yesterday. He asked me, he says, Frank, what about if I take advantage of your guest? We got the food, and we got married tonight with Jessica. So I said, well, I'm gonna talk to Jessica about it, because Andy would do anything to save $1. So I said, Jessica, what do you think about this this deal over here? He wants to get married tonight, whatever. No, I said, well, I'd like to spend this money. That's possible. But anyway, I hope all you enjoy your night. God bless you and God bless America.
All right, thank you, Betsy, thank you, Frank. That will conclude our festivities for this evening. I would once again want to thank Tim and the Country Club staff for your efforts. Thank you very much. We thank the Boy Scouts. Kelly, great job. And as we end, I would like to turn it back to Peter Lennon that will lead us in our closing, the Scout Vespers. Peter?
This is actually, this is something that is usually sung around the campfire by the Boy Scouts at the end of the day, before taps is played and before everybody calls it a day. Hopefully it's been a good Boy Scout day. Unfortunately, since the day I joined Troop 61 in Berlin 55 years ago, I could not carry a tune. So I'm going to ask the Boy Scouts to help me out. This goes according to, or along the same tune as Tannenbaum. So if you would join in with me, Scouts of all ages and guests here tonight. But goes, softly falls the light of day, and our campfire fades away. Silently each scout should ask, have I done my daily task? Have I kept my honor bright? Am I ill asleep tonight? Have I done and have I dared everything to be prepared? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Peter. Thank you, everyone. Have a great night. Please drive safely.